Hey there guys, welcome back to a brand new Flick Pick live show, and if I abruptly end this live show, it's because I ate some very spicy beef jerky earlier and it's not sitting well. But with all of that said, thanks for hanging out with me once again, and feel free to ask anything and everything that you want to. And let me open up this delicious, yet disgusting Prime Energy drink. Thank you, Jake Paul. The best way to describe the flavor of this is it tastes like bath water. But hey, when I was a kid, I used to drink that shit right up. So good. All right. By the way, I have a question for you guys. Besides, how are you doing? Did you watch the new Scream movie, Scream 6? I know I did. And that's the first main topic I wanted to talk about today before we dive into your glorious, magical questions. And, I'm always taken back by the Scream movies. They're cheesy fun, and that's how I look at them. Now, the first one, back in 1996, was a phenomenon. It was amazing. I loved it. It was like a different take in the horror genre by Wes Craven. And I don't think since that original, they've captured that magic again as far as like craftsmanship and storytelling and making a cinematic film that looks so perfect in every way. It was ahead of its time. It truly was. And now there's this hardcore fandom relating around the Scream franchise, and I get it. Hey, it's a cheesy fun time, right? There's always some crazy convoluted twist ending where it just sort of feels like they made it up as they went, and I can understand that. But lately, I've been reading reviews where people legitimately think these movies are like the pinnacle of cinema. I was reading reviews where a lot of people, and keep in mind when you look at these people's accounts, their entire lives are dedicated to Scream movies, but they give these movies like 4.7 out of 5. And I'm like, you mean like in the Scream genre of movies? Like it's a 4.7? Like I get that. But no, like in movies in general. And movies are just all subjective. It's all artistic, right? It's all made up stuff that we like or we don't like. And that's cool. But I always question these things. Really, it scares me, right? It's like if you consider this the pinnacle of cinema, and this is what makes money, then studios are going to go, you know what? Let's just keep making more shit like this. So great movies like Shawshank Redemptions or Pulp Fictions or Master and Commanders or what have you, those take a back seat. And then we get more movies like Scream 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 87, Ghostface is in a wheelchair, killing people in the nursing home, whatever. But my question to you guys, do you watch these movies for the cheese factor? It's almost like soap opera level storytelling with twists, or do you legitimately think these are well-made, well-crafted movies? That's my honest question, because some people truly do think these are like Shawshank Redemption level filmmaking, and that scares me. But what do I know? What do I know? I'm just some asshole on the internet talking alone in his office right now, drinking an energy drink and about to crap my pants. That's who I am. So yeah, that's my question to you guys. And then we're going to take it from there. Give me all the Scream movies, Joshua. Well, you're going to get them. 65 looks bad. Yeah, I was going to go see 65 the other night, and they didn't have a showtime when I needed there to be a showtime, and the only one they had was in the smallest auditorium at the theater, and my TV in my living room is bigger than that screen at that auditorium, so I was like, I'll watch that another day. I've heard it's atrociously bad. It seems like a big waste of a concept, and that's really, really disheartening, because you had a cool movie. You had like sci-fi meets the prehistoric age with dinosaurs, and it baffles my brain that Hollywood cannot make a good dinosaur movie. You have fucking dinosaurs. Like, they're going to make it entertaining. Just have them do something on screen and react to it. But after Jurassic World Dominion and then now 65, Hollywood can't make a good dinosaur movie anymore. It's really sad, isn't it? And I love me some dinosaurs, but not as much as I love sharks. But then again, the whole shark genre is kind of going downhill, isn't it? I guess we're getting a new Meg movie with Jason Statham. I don't know. All right, here we go. I had a great time with Scream 6. Not a great film, but really fun. And that's understandable. For me, it's getting to the point where the twist endings in these movies are so convoluted where they don't feel earned. It just feels made up at the last second. It's like whenever I see a character who you assume might be one of the killers, and then they blow up and die and get stabbed to death, and they're bleeding, and they show their corpse wheeled away, and they show it in the morgue, and then they show them bury the body 6 feet under the ground and have a funeral for that person. And then at the end of the movie, they show up, I was the killer, and they go, because... That to me is not an earned twist ending. That's just bad writing and bad directing. And that's an extreme scenario, but in this newest movie, there was something similar to that. I don't know. I just think at this point, the killer's motives are so flimsy. It's like, hey, one time I was a waiter at IHOP and you didn't tip me 20%. So I dedicated 8 years of my life to stalking and infiltrating your life. I gave up my entire life, moved across the country, went to this different school. I started studying rocket science because you studied rocket science and I wanted to be your roommate. So then I did that for 4 years just to stalk you when I could have randomly just ran up behind you in a dark alleyway and stabbed you to death. But I had to get close to you before I started to do all this and toy with you, just to fail miserably at the end. I don't know. That's just me. Some people like this shit. I get it. It's okay. It's cheese entertainment. It's a mild form of entertainment, and that's okay. But I will never say these are good movies. Even cinematically, they don't look that well. Like, if you compare the new Scream movies to the Wes Craven Scream film back in the 90s, just look at the composition, look at the shots, look at the scope, look at how it was filmed and directed and crafted. It doesn't compare. It really doesn't. I'm not saying the new one looked bad. I'm not saying it looked terrible or cheap. It just feels less than. It feels like a B-rate version of what the franchise once was, in my opinion. So anyway, those are my thoughts on the new Scream movie. I just felt like I was thinking about it all day today, and I had to get that out. So on a lighter note, let's dive into your questions, because this is the fun stuff. You guys don't want to hear me ramble on about Scream, do you? I can do it, whatever you need. All right, here we go. There was a question I wanted to start. Well, here it is. Joey Ruiz, Lord of the Rings, asked this question on the last live show, and I think I ended the show right before I answered this. If you could time travel back in time, would you star as Biff Tannen? Or, wait. Would you star as Biff Tannen with Michael J. Fox or Terminator 2 as the doctor in the mental asylum? So you're saying if I had to go back in time and be in either movie, I'd definitely be Biff Tannen. Yeah. I mean, he's sort of a douchebag and you can make like a tree and get out of here. But yeah, and I guess he does get a little touchy with Lorraine at the end of the movie, which I would be canceled for nowadays if I did that. But back in the 1950s, it was you overlook things like that. I don't know if I'd want to be the doctor in Terminator 2 because he does get his arm broken. And plus he has like a receding hairline. I wouldn't look good. I need this on top of my head. So I'm going to go with Biff Tannen on that one. Here we go. T600 Tiny Todd. What a great name. Hey, John. Where's the love for The Abyss? Not even on Blu-ray. I've heard that it was announced, or am I making that up? I feel like it was announced like a year ago, and then recently there was another announcement for it. But keep in mind, if James Cameron had anything to do with this Blu-ray or this 4K transfer of The Abyss, much like he did with Terminator 2 Judgment Day, he's probably gonna recolor grade it, make it look all blue and flat and digital like modern day movies are. So yeah, I'm hoping it looks good. Loot Phillips says the roommate lottery was so stupid. Yeah, there was a lot of stupid things in the new Scream movie that just felt really convoluted, and they easily explained them all away. Oh, I saw you get stabbed to death and you died, but I changed your body out with another one I found from the morgue, and then 18 people were watching you die and then wheeled out to an ambulance, but somehow I switched the body. Like, oh, how did you do that? I would like to know the information behind how you did this. Here's my thing. Here's what I would like to see. Imagine a movie shown from Ghostface's perspective of the story. Imagine all the behind the scenes with Ghostface, setting up everything that they do and infiltrating these people's lives and making up, falsifying identities and just all the shit they have to go through just to stab some people and talk to them on a phone. But by the way, could you imagine stalking someone and your only weapon of choice is like a butcher's knife or whatever, and you're trying to be witty and calm on the phone? So what's your favorite scary movie? Meanwhile, you're running down an alleyway to try to catch up with them, trying to sound like you're not out of breath. That'd be really hard to pull off. I'm just saying. Not only did these people have to infiltrate their lives, they had to have great cardio. So you're going to hit the gym at least 5 days a week, right? You're gonna be a marathon runner and a serial killer to be Ghostface in these new movies. Just putting it out there. And anyone can be Ghostface in these movies. It doesn't matter if you're a 90-pound girl or some nerdy guy that's in college. It doesn't matter, because whenever you put the Ghostface mask on, you instantly become 6'5" and you can bench press 400 pounds. Not to mention get shot 18 times in the face. So, am I overthinking this? Maybe I am. I just want some logic applied to this. Maybe there is none. Okay. James Dosher says, which movie from 1987 do you like more, Predator or RoboCop? I like RoboCop more. I think most people would expect me to say Predator. But the truth is, I think the movie RoboCop has always stuck with me a little bit more. Like, don't get me wrong. Predator is a quintessential 80s action movie. I mean, looking at Arnold covered in baby oil, fight an alien out in the jungle. I mean, Jesus, what more do you want in life? Do it now, I'm here. But watching a half man, half robot eat baby food, I mean, come on, man. Plus his hairline. Oh, I love me some RoboCop. And I actually grew up watching RoboCop more than Predator. So I might go with RoboCop on that one. I just feel like there's more to it. And plus, there's like an emotional beat to the movie. You know, kind of imagine like being a man and being shot to death, and the next thing you know, you're resurrected and you're half of a machine. Dealing with that. That's an interesting take. So RoboCop. I'm going to go with RoboCop on that one. The next one comes from Shut Up Cat Productions. You're still alive? I want that stuff you promised. What stuff? What did I promise? If it's a video, I have that. What did I promise? Remind me. I do have a flick trip. I'm editing it right now. And I actually shot another one today. So I'm going to have two. I just got to edit them. Rich Gallagher says, John, do you think the MCU can course correct back to greatness, or did they die with Endgame? I think the MCU can come back. What they need is competent screenwriters. They need to calm down on the jokes and the junkiness, and they need to focus on quality and not quantity, because the MCU movies are starting to feel like the MCU TV shows. It just feels like they're being made a little bit too quickly with not enough thought and effort put into them. And don't get me wrong, every once in a while, even in some of the bad MCU movies of phase 4 or 5, which I don't even know which phase we're on at this point, doesn't even matter. There were some good ideas along the way, but overall the tone and just the epicness was lost. You know, that gravitas that those movies used to have. But most importantly, it comes down to the characters. And right now in the MCU, we're sort of on the B team. It's like the varsity squad is playing in the big game. And there's a reason they were the varsity squad of B team players. I mean, without Tony Stark, without Steve Rogers, those were the heart of the MCU, of the Avengers. And I feel like we don't really have that anymore. I mean, they're trying to force it, but it just isn't quite the same. So if you don't care about the characters, then you don't give a shit about the movie. And I think that's where we're kind of at. The next one comes from Night King 01. You know what I hate about Scream Now? The original was only part meta. Okay, I like where you're going with this. If you remember, it followed every trope. It made fun of that jokes. Also, Wes Craven was far more talented. Absolutely. Yeah, it's getting to a point, and I'm not trying to make this a complete live stream about the new Scream movie. I really don't take it that serious, guys. It's for the sake of entertainment. But I got to get these thoughts out there. I just have to. But yeah, the original Scream movie did have that meta take. You know, it made fun of the horror genre. And then it did the same thing it was making fun of in the film, but it didn't feel like a joke. Like, you're like, oh, like Stu's making horror references. I'll be right back. But in the moment, you still feel this uneasiness. You feel like there's danger. And in the new movies, it feels like they're just jokes, right? For example, and I won't spoil anything, but doesn't matter. I mean, the killers in the new movie were so far-fetched, it wouldn't even matter. But by the third act of this new movie, they're just like, there's one part where they do a reference to the first movie with the way someone dies. And it was just like the most lighthearted joke. It's like, haha, I just dropped this on your head and you're dead. And everyone's like, you go get him. And you're like, no, that's supposed to be serious. I'm supposed to be on the edge of my seat when I see this shit happening. Like, you just dropped a heavy object in someone's head and they're being electrocuted. Like, oh, but we're all joking about it like it's some fucking sitcom or something on ABC at 8 o'clock at night. That's where it lost me. It became a slapstick comedy by the third act of this movie. All right, let's go to the next one here. Somewhere, it exists somewhere on here. Okay. Carter Lovejoy. How's it going, Carter? My man. You excited for The Last of Us Season 1 finale tomorrow night? Absolutely. My body is ready. I need it. I'm curious to see where it caps off. So far, it feels like every episode has, I would say, progressively gotten better. So absolutely, I'm going to be watching that with a big bucket of popcorn. It's crazy how Craig Mazin, is it Mazin or Mazin, the co-creator of the show, went from comedies like Scary Movie 3 and 4 and superhero movies like to The Last of Us and Chernobyl. Yeah, he definitely brought the Chernobyl vibe to The Last of Us, kind of a serious, somber take. It doesn't look over-stylized. That's what I like. That's what I wish Hollywood would do more of. I think it's beautiful. I love probably 90% of the episodes of Last of Us. There might be a few that just kind of felt like, I wouldn't go as far as to say they felt like filler, just not as memorable as some of them, but I'm going to be there. I'm going to watch it. Also, I started to watch Mandalorian Season 3 last week. I'm on episode 2 right now. I'm halfway through it. And it sort of feels like episode 2 in this season is sort of copy and pasting what season 2 episode did. It's like, instead of like a big robot or a big spider in an ice cave, now there's a big robot in a cave. But yeah, you know the funny thing about Mandalorian Season 3? No one's talking about it. Like, no one. Like, it just feels like, I don't want to say no one cares, but maybe it's just kind of like we're getting the same thing again, or there's nothing of topic to discuss yet that's groundbreaking. You know, like, what can you really say about the last 2 episodes of Mandalorian? What profound thing has happened? And I'm not saying they're bad. I love me some Mandalorian. It's one of my favorite things to just kind of like turn my brain off, watch, eat some frozen pizza, but nothing of like discussion has happened yet. At least for me. I don't know. What do you guys think about Mandalorian Season 3 so far? Yeah, guys, try not to put spoilers in the chat if you could about Scream. If you could, try not to. All right, the next one comes from Brevins Flicks and Games. Hey, John, it's been a while. I'm now at 7.5 subs, 7,500 subs. That's pretty good, man. That's pretty damn good, Brevin. Congrats, man. Do you miss good horror comedies? Evil Dead 2 is still my favorite. Crossing my fingers on Renfield. I'm looking forward to Renfield. If you give me some Nicolas Cage, I'm probably going to laugh. It doesn't matter what the movie is. If it's supposed to be the most serious drama ever made that makes grown men cry, I will find humor in that Nicolas Cage movie. I assure you I will. One of my favorite theater-going experiences was going to an art house cinema back when Bad Lieutenant came out, starring Nick Cage. Now, I watched this movie with a whole bunch of senior citizens who took this film as a drama. I understand who Nick Cage is and what he's doing. I was laughing hysterically throughout this film, and everyone looked at me like I was on crack. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to Renfield, absolutely. And, you know, I would like to see a return to the comedy horror films, but, I mean, I guess you can watch the new Scream movie. It's kind of funny. At times I think it's intentional. Joseph Knoll says, why is the new John Wick nearly 3 hours? And by the way, Joseph Knowles has been a member for 16 months. Yay! And real quick, at the end of the show, I'm going to take some member questions. I put a post on the community tab here on this channel for members. And I said, hey, give me a topic or a comment you want me to answer. So I'll dive into those at the end. I got some right here lined up, ready to go. So if you go to that community tab, you remember, post that question. I'll definitely get to it by the end of the live show. So look out for that. Back to your question, though. John Wick being 3 hours. I don't think I knew that. That's a long movie. I'm surprised they didn't take the new John Wick movie and split it into 2 parts. That seems like the Hollywood cash grab way of making money nowadays. I'm truly surprised they didn't do something like that. But 3 hours, I wonder if it truly has a story to tell. I'm hoping it does. Maybe this will be the epic conclusion. I don't know. Is there another John Wick in the pipeline? I'm curious what they have left to say about John Wick. Like, what more lore could there be to the backstory of John Wick? What more could he do that justifies a 3-hour runtime? But then again, the best thing they could do is he needs to avenge another dog. I'm just putting it out there. That's the one motivation I need for this man to go kill 87 million people. They killed a dog. They hired John Wick for vengeance. Sold. Done. It's a 7-hour movie. I'll watch it. Mike likes movies. Would you stay on the island if you were in Castaway? Probably. Yes. Yes, I would. Is it weird every time I'm in a plane, I hope somehow it crash lands at a tropical island and I find myself washing the shore and just talking to an inanimate object for the rest of my life? Is that a weird thought I have? Yeah, I think I don't know if that's healthy, but yeah, I would stay there. Yes, I would. Yeah, I would stay on that island. Why would he leave? He had coconuts, he had trees, he had a Wilson. What more do you need in life? In all seriousness, I'd probably try to get out of there. But then again, I feel like my raft being held together by videotape would just like instantly disintegrate and I would be eaten by sharks and that would be the end of my movie. So if I made a Castaway movie, that's how it would have ended. But I'll tell you this. This is how my Castaway movie would have ended. I die, I'm eaten by sharks. Wilson, the volleyball, he keeps floating. He floats for years and years in the ocean. Eventually, he washes to shore. He makes it home. Some young kid picks up the ball and then like takes it and befriends it. So Wilson had a happy ending. I died. There you go, Hollywood. If you ever want to remake Castaway, you owe me $10 million for my thoughts and my concept. The next one comes from the 50% Doctor Who podcast. John, could you please put these streams on Spotify? Yeah, I signed up for a Stitcher account, and I was going to put... So what I wanted to do is I wanted to take the best questions from the live shows, condense it down, and then make a podcast out of it, and then put that shit up on Spotify and iTunes and all that fun stuff. That's the plan. I have a Stitcher account. I had another logistic hurdle, if you will. It was sort of holding me up with something. But that's the plan for sure. I know it'd probably be easier to just listen to them on Spotify than look at my stupid face. I know. One day, that is the plan. Dustin Rich, remember the movie Tusk? Yes, I do. I want to put you in my basement and turn you into a street shark. You know what? That is a great idea. We're talking about phenomenal movie concepts today, and they just keep on coming, guys. You guys are killing it. So that sounds like a great movie and a great idea. And I think I would make a great... I think personally I would make a great street shark. The only issue is I'm not very good at rollerblading, so I think I would need to train on some rollerblades, and then you could take me into your basement and make me into a humanized shark. But I dress like a teenager from the early 1990s in California, and I go rollerblading to fight crime. We need a Street Sharks movie. We really do. A live-action Street Sharks movie. That would do well if you made it a very self-aware comedy movie. I think that would do well. InHomes25 says, John, I agree with all of your screen points. Well, thank you. I'm sick and tired of these weak-ass killer reveals and motives. Every killer now has some frenetic, weak loony that does not match their physicality at all, that goes face presents. Absolutely, man. I mean, like in the previous Scream movie where you had Amber, who was just telegraphed to be one of the killers in the first 8 minutes of the movie. And by the way, she was sort of typecasted because she played the exact same character as she did in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Either way, I just remember specifically the scene with Dewey being murdered in the hospital as everyone just looks on. And the ghost face that was killing him in the hallway was like 6'4", like a 320-pound dude, just manhandling Dewey. And I'm like, ooh, shit. Okay, so clearly that can't be Amber, who's 5 foot tall and weighs 83 pounds. That can't be her. And then come to find out by the end of the movie, it was. That's why I can't respect these movies. I can buy your bullshit, but you gotta at least, the rules of physics have to apply in this universe to some degree. Because if they don't, then the ghost face can just fly around like Superman. Why not? All right, the next one. Let's just keep taking this really serious. Will H says, John, how do you have a New York setting and not use Central Park? The Scream 6 opening was decent, but could have been amazing if it led from the restaurant to her being stalked in Central Park. Absolutely. That was one of my complaints with the new Scream more than anything else. You have a city backdrop. Maybe use it? I don't know. There's a lot of things you can do in a big city. A lot of landmarks you can visit. A lot of scenarios you could, just whatever. And they did use the subway scene and, I guess that was really it. Maybe like an apartment building. But other than that, they didn't really utilize it. They could have went on top of like some skyscraper's rooftop that was under construction and it had a giant crane on it. And they could have like had a really cool set piece there. That would have been kind of cool. But everything they did could have just more or less taken place in a small town other than the subway scene. So, yeah, I do agree with you. Jason Takes Manhattan made better use out of the city environment than Scream 6 did. Ooh, that's a good line. I need to take that and put that in my review. And you know what should have happened in Scream 6? Like Jason Takes Manhattan, Ghostface should have punched someone's fucking head off and it should have rolled into a dumpster. And then everyone goes, what a funny thing. That's what, because that's what they're doing in Scream 6 anyway. They're just laughing at deaths by the end of the movie. And then someone gets stabbed 83 times and, they're okay. Okay, the next one comes from Matthew Castellanos. Are you excited to see James Gunn's new DCU? And what do you think about the recent episode of The Last of Us? So when it comes to James Gunn, I'm not the hugest fan, but I will say this, and I've said this once before. James Gunn is a director and a guy who creates things, and he's not an uptight director either. He can take a joke and say some weird stuff on Twitter every once in a while. I feel like he'll at least give directors in the DC universe of movies going forward some creative breathing room to make movies feel like their movies, to put a stylistic touch on them and not make them all look like concrete like the MCU does currently. So that's where I have faith in him. But yeah, I'm looking forward to like Batman the Bold and the Brave, I think it's called, where Batman has a son, or Bruce Wayne has a son. That sounds really interesting to me. So there's a few good ideas. We'll see though, give it time. I will just say this, the current DC universe, I don't give a shit about. So, hey, switch it up. Do whatever you want. It can't get any worse than it's been, right? All right, the next one comes from... Oh, and The Last of Us, the last episode of Last of Us. That was a tongue twister. I loved it. The character of David, those types of characters, like the creepy, weird characters that people like that exist in society. And I have a really good people radar. And I've met many people in life that have like those weird vibes where they have like this weird undertone that you can just tell they're a monster underneath this suburban facade that they're masking their devilish personality with. I meet people like that all the time. I'm telling you, I've met people like David throughout my life, and I can just tell if there was ever an apocalyptic wasteland, they would become what David is. That's why I hate people. That's why I avoid them. I just assume everyone's like a David. So I love it though. I love characters like that. It's so disgusting and gross and seedy, but it's real to me. So I thought that last episode was probably one of the better episodes of the entire season. Mike Likes Movies says, favorite scene from the movie Ghost. Ooh, I like me some Ghost, man. That's a great Patrick Swayze movie. And you know what? I always get the question, John, name a movie that makes you want to cry. Ghost kind of tears me up a little bit because Patrick Swayze sort of like looks like my dad a little bit. So like there's a weird connection there. I don't want to get into it. I don't want to cry. But favorite scene in Ghost is when the guy in the subway, who's also a ghost, goes, "What I do for one last drag." Maybe that. Shut Up Cat Production says, I asked if I could have your stuff if COVID got you. Yeah, COVID didn't get me. I think I just had a flu or a fever for like a day. I felt good the next day, but we'll see. There's a lot of sickness going around. Have you know? There's a lot of illness going around. The banks are shutting down. The economy's in the toilet. Apparently, there's UFOs invading Earth right now. It's getting crazy out there, guys. But what do I talk about when all of those natural disasters and events are happening? I talk about the new Scream 6 movie. Oh, God. And that's my contribution to society. You're welcome. Tyler Van says, hey, John, glad you like the animated film Spirit. Yeah, so if you didn't know, and if you didn't, I guess it's not like information everyone needs to know, but I did watch Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron, for the first time ever last week on Netflix. My girlfriend actually showed it to me because she's like, this is a great epic animated movie. And I always thought it was like some B-rate DreamWorks movie with a talking horse voiced by Matt Damon. But it's so much more than that. It truly is an epic adventure film. And I'm pleased to say Matt Damon voicing the horse wasn't as comical as I thought it would be. The horse isn't actually talking. It's just some internal thoughts and narration he has during the events of the experiences that he's going through. And the way that the film is shot or animated is like epic. It feels like a real cinematic adventure. It doesn't feel like a modern day Disney movie where they, break out into song, shit like that. But the score by Bryan Adams and Hans Zimmer, oh my God, it was like someone poured hot gravy into my ears and I loved every second of it. I don't know if that's a good thing, being hot gravy being poured into your ears, but for me it is. It was delicious. I loved listening to the score. Bryan Adams, oh man, that man can make music. And I've been a Bryan Adams fan since watching Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves back in the early 90s. Like that man he takes you somewhere you want to go. And plus every epic shot had a Zimmer score to it. And it was a good soundtrack. So highly recommend checking out Spirit if you've never seen the animated movie. It's one of the better, underrated animated movies, I would say. The next one comes from Observing the Apocalypse. Pick film characters to be president, vice president, House Speaker. Oh, president's going to be Nick Cage, man. Vice president's going to be Patrick Bateman. And Speaker of the House will be Lou Bloom from Nightcrawler. That sounds good. Faisal Haiti says, how about 3-hour Oscar live reaction stream? Dude, I'm going to be honest with you. That sounds like the most miserable, insufferable experience I could ever be put through to watch the Oscars for 3 hours. Not only that, react to it. But that's not a bad idea. Maybe I'll just do the most casual stream I've ever given you guys where I truly just like lay in bed with my phone in front of my face. And I just like all you see for like 3 hours is my face like this as the Oscars play on my phone. And every time there's an award given out, I just go, uh-huh. Would you guys like to watch that for 3 hours? I don't know. I might consider it. I don't care about the Oscars, but then again, I think if we watch them together, it could be fun. It's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea, man. And by the way, guys, speaking of that, we're still working out the details, but I should be at the Fan Expo in Cleveland, Ohio at the end of March. So if you guys are going to the Fan Expo, I should be doing a panel with some other YouTubers like Sean Chandler and Austin Burke of YouTube. I should be there at least 2 days. So yeah, look out for the Fan Expo in Cleveland. If you're going, I hope to see you there. Come give me a high five, a hug, and a handshake, and whatever else you want to do. I don't know. Don't do whatever else you want to do. I don't care. But yeah, it should be there. It should be a good time. Then, okay. The next one comes from Aaron Nick. Hey, John. Have you ever enjoyed a good movie and then disappointed in the movie's ending? My example would be Law Abiding Citizen. Yeah, that's... For me, Law Abiding Citizen was sort of one of those movies that were... How do I say this? It was made for people who don't use critical thinking skills. Like, some of the things that were happening were just the most convoluted shit ever. And it's like, I escaped from prison by doing this, this, and this, but none of this would ever work, but somehow I did it. That's what I remember most from watching the movie. I don't really even remember the ending. I saw it once in the theater. I just remember thinking, I just don't buy anything that happened in that movie. So yeah, I'd hate to say I don't remember the ending. I don't. I've never had the urge to go back and rewatch it. It sort of reminded me of like the Logic and Saw movies, where he can just do anything and everything because the story needs him to do it. That's what I remember in Law Abiding Citizen. Maybe it's better than I remember. It's been a long time since I've seen it. As far as a movie where I was disappointed by the ending, but I liked everything else, I don't know. The new Scream movie, I think the ending could have been better, but I'm trying to think of something else that I really enjoyed, and the ending just kind of took me out of it. I'm sure there's 23 movies. I just can't think of one right now on the spot. I'll come back to it if I can remember. And that's a great question for you guys. If you guys are in the normal chat, why don't you guys share a movie that you loved until the ending, where it just ruined the movie for you? Let me know that. I almost could go with something like Clerks 3, to be honest with you. Like, I liked that movie, and then the ending was like too much, and I don't think I could ever rewatch it again because it's just too depressing. It was unnecessarily depressing. Kevy Rez, thanks for the super chat. No question, but thanks, Kevy. Just type a question in next time, though. Just type it in. Carter Lovejoy says, looking for the new shelving for my Blu-ray 4K collection. What's good for displaying big box sets and memorabilia like the ones you have behind you? These are IKEA shelves. Are these called the Alex something? I don't know. Just type in IKEA shelves, cubes. You'll find them. That's what these are back here. They're good. They're essentially made out of cardboard, but they're not that expensive, and they do the job. Glass. That's a good one. Yes, Glass. I really enjoyed Glass in that third act where Bruce Willis drowns to death in a mud puddle. I was like, all right, okay. Oh, we're still going, M. Night. You got more. Okay, there's a whole nother cult of people that we're going to focus on for these last 5 minutes of the movie that don't really matter. So yeah, I would say Glass. The Dark Knight Rises, I like the ending to The Dark Knight Rises. It's not perfect, but it's not bad. The Wolverine, yeah, the cool thing that they cut out of that was him actually getting his suit and his mask, and that was a deleted scene. The menu went off the rails by then, but I didn't hate it. Megan, it was Megan. The ending to Megan was a little bit underwhelming, but it was one of those disposable movies to me. War of the Worlds ending. I think that whole movie was sort of a mess. Any Stephen King movie that he's directed, I mean, you got Maximum Overdrive. I don't know. Knock at the Cabin's another good one. Yeah, just like, oh, we set up all these things, but here it is, just because. Now, I've read the original ending to the Knock at the Cabin that was in the novel, and that ending is dark. That's what should have happened in the movie. That would have been good. All right, the next one comes from Rich Gallagher. What's better, Scream 4 or 6 or the new Halloween trilogy? Scream 4 through 6 are the new Halloween trilogy. Ooh, shoot, man. I would probably, I'll be honest, I'd rather watch Scream 4 through 6. At least it's like I can eat popcorn and watch it and not really care. Yeah, I don't love them. I think there's some blatantly big issues with them, but the new Halloween trilogy is just, that would make me depressed. Like, watching Halloween Ends with the character Richie again, I just couldn't look at that again. Like, I can't look at his face. I just can't do it. So, probably Scream through 4 through 6. Michael Parton says, if Shazam 2 bombs, Zachary Levi is done as the character and he has already been spoiled that Gal Gadot, or Godot, however the fuck you want to say it, appears as Wonder Woman, wasted cameo like Cavill. Yeah, probably. I don't think there's a lot of faith that Shazam is going to do well, and I don't think it's going to do well. There's not really any buzz going on for the movie. I don't think there's maybe a strong place in the upcoming DC universe for Shazam or the Zachary Levi version of Shazam. I don't know. I don't see it making a lot of money. I feel like this will be the last one we see for a long time. And something about the new trailer for Shazam, it looks, and I know there's a certain tone they're going for. I know this is supposed to have like a childlike wonderment to it. I understand these things. It doesn't have to be like the Dark Knight, but it looks really bad. Like, I watched the trailer for it and I'm like, that looks like that's a Power Rangers movie, but not like a good Power Rangers movie, like a Power Rangers movie made for like the Disney Channel. I don't know. I don't think the trailer looks very good for the new Shazam. I'm just putting it out there. But if Wonder Woman shows up, cool. But yeah, what's the point? Hey guys, I'm here, but hey, they're never going to make another movie with me, so I gotta go now. Bye-bye. Hey, do you guys remember that time in the 80s I took over some random guy's body and then I used his body to sleep with Chris Pine and then I put his body back where it was and I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm a superhero though. I do right. All right. The next one comes from Night King 01. When Stu is making his jokes, yes, there are tropes, but it signals tension because you're worried. Now, if you get the tropes, now they don't pay off. Yeah, the tropes are just like, hey, do you remember this thing that was funny in the 1990s and has happened in movies and it's a cliche? You can't take anyone serious. No one in the new Scream movies, to me, feel like threats. Like characters like Stu and Billy, there was something wrong with them. Their characters didn't feel forced. Like, I believed what they were selling me. But the new, like, the killers in the new movie, you're just like, once again, I won't spoil it for you, but I'm not buying it. You're like, it just, I'm trying to even say it without spoiling it. It feels very forced, to say the least. It's like, there's no way. You're not capable of this. And all of a sudden at the end, the guy's like, I'm a cliche bad guy. You hear me? I did it because I was angry. Come on. It's fucking made for infants, man. All right, the next one comes from Aaron Nick. Hey, John. Do you have any tips on lighting for YouTube videos? I use a ring light, but it feels like my videos are dark and bland looking. You know, lighting is always what I'm most particular about in videos because the right lighting can change up the entire atmosphere of what you're shooting and how you're shooting it. And I've rarely been happy with the outcome. And I've tried so many different things over the years. Now, I would say right now, my lighting looks pretty sexy. I'm just going to put it out there. You kind of feel like you're in the room with me. It's a little bit immersive. It's not overlit. It's not underlit. You kind of have like a vibe, right? That's what you want to do. So what I would say is make sure your ring light in front of your face isn't too bright and blowing you out, but also make sure your face light in front of you isn't lighting your background. You want two separate things happening here. You want to be in the foreground and you want something behind you that's not the focus point, but you want to have it inviting and fun to look at and don't make it look boring like you're in a prison cell. So light yourself with your ring light. Then my recommendation to you would be for your backdrop, go to Amazon, buy a couple RGB LED lights that can change colors with a remote or an app for $20. Buy a couple of those, shine those on your backdrop, make them a couple different colors, whatever looks fun. Try that. It might look good. Also, you can mess with the exposure on your camera. Crank up that exposure just a little bit to give it a little bit of brightness. That might help you out a little bit. Or if you're using a DSLR camera, mess with the ISO. Crank that up a little bit. Those are my quick tips. Hopefully those work out for you. The next one comes from, and by the way, I have a link in the description box to Amazon, some of the shit I use. There might be some LED lights in there that I recommend. So if you click the link down below to Amazon, you can see what I'm using on there. I think everything I use is on there. So check that out if you want. Dustin Rich says, do you think Kang can be a Thanos level villain? No, I don't. Because he was already beaten by ants. Now, I know there's multiple versions of Kang the Conqueror in the universe, right? I get it. But the fact that I know some different versions will be more powerful or whatever, but he's not going to be a big blue titan, or I'm sorry, a big purple titan with a ball sack for a chin. He's just some dude. So yeah, I don't feel like he's much of a threat, personally speaking. I don't feel like Ant-Man should have beat him in the new Ant-Man Quantumania movie, or at least that version of Kang. Even if it's the weakest version in existence, the weakest version should have been powerful enough to escape those events. So anyway, I think he's an interesting villain. I think he'll do okay for the story they're trying to tell, but like, how do you go from Thanos to Kang? I don't know. Aaron Nick says, I want to start filming vlogging in public with my Sony ZV-E10 camera. Any stories dealing with people telling you no filming in here? Yeah, just keep filming and make sure you film them because it'll make really entertaining content. That's the best stuff ever, man. That's what you want on camera. You just either act oblivious, act stupid, and in my life, it's always better to ask for forgiveness than it is permission. So just film whatever you want to, but try to be low-key if you can. Don't make it blatantly obvious. And nowadays, more than ever before, even 10 years ago, there was this really odd, unsettling thing if someone was filming themselves in public. Everyone's like, oh, what are they doing? Making a porno? But nowadays, with social media, and everyone's a star with TikTok, everyone's filming themselves. So now it's almost the norm. So I would say now no one's going to even look at you or give you a second look. So yeah, go for it, man. But just always get the shot. No matter what the shot is, always get it. Don't put that camera down because you're afraid. Get the shot. I'm telling you, you're going to regret it if you don't. Bruce Cook says, sorry if you already commented on it, but what are your thoughts on Jake Gyllenhaal playing in the Patrick Swayze part in the new Roadhouse? Yeah, if you saw the clips online, by the way, Bruce Cook, thank you for the very generous super chat, man. Yeah, if you saw the clips online, you saw Gyllenhaal doing a MMA fight at an actual UFC event, which was kind of cool. So if you didn't know, he's going to be playing the new character in Roadhouse, Patrick Swayze's role. And in this new version, he's going to be an MMA fighter who can no longer be an MMA fighter who then takes on bouncing, and he's the best cooler in the business. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that shit, man. I love me some Roadhouse. I like that movie more than I should. That was one of those movies that I sort of grew up on. And to me, I was like, that's what a man is. I cover myself in baby oil. I meditate outside of a barn. And then I go to work where I'm supposed to stop violence from happening, but I actually increase the violence 1,000-fold, and I rip people's fucking throats out. That's what a man does. And also, he taught me the most valuable lesson in that movie. Pain don't hurt. Remember that, guys. If you just tell yourself pain doesn't hurt, it doesn't. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. Thanks for the question, Bruce. Will H says, John, I remember you said you have a $30 spending limit on 4Ks and Blu-ray. Sometimes I'll buy a really expensive one because when I put it on my shelf, it makes me feel better about who I am and what I'm doing in life. I get it. Hey, if it makes you feel slightly better for just 12 seconds of your life, how can you put a price on that? It's just, what is money? What is money? It's fucking made up stuff. It's paper. It's made up paper that we print out. It's not real. It's not real. It's all going to collapse one day. You can't take it with you when you die. Spend that shit now. Be happy. All right? And speaking of that, and buying shit that you like and don't need to feel better about yourself, I actually drove to some small town in Ohio earlier to buy something off Facebook Marketplace. It's a really cool item. It might be similar to one of these two items here in my backdrop, but it's something I've had my eyes on for a very long time. I found a good deal, so I drove like 2 hours today to get it. So, but I recorded the video, so I'll make it part of a Flick trip at some point. Joseph Knowles says, the new TMNT movie looks sucky. Yeah, there's a large fan base for that movie. And then I put out a tweet saying the Ninja Turtles look like 10-year-old boys. And everyone got really angry. And I was like, but they don't feel like the Ninja Turtles, what they're based on. Now, if you want to go back to the Nickelodeon show, sure, I guess they kind of feel like that. But I get that they feel like very prepubescent teenage boys. Like the most PG-13 teenage boys that have ever... When I was 13, I didn't talk like the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles do. And Mutant Mayhem. Like, I might have talked like... I don't think I ever talk like that. Like, I don't feel like teenagers talk like that. Maybe in some places they do. But my friends and I talked like teenagers. Like, the best example I can give you is, like, have you seen the movie Stand By Me? That, to me, is how teenage boys talk. So in the new one, it feels like 9-year-olds pretending to be the Ninja Turtles. And I guess going forward, if they make sequels, sure, they can go from being 13 years old to 16, then to 18 years old, and then transitioning into adulthood as adult turtles. And that gives them room for the sequels. But yeah, unlike Into the Spider-Verse, where it felt like there was some adult undertones to be had so all audiences could enjoy it of all ages. The new Ninja Turtles trailer, it just stylistically looks like Into the Spider-Verse, but I don't like the design of the turtles, and the tone just feels like sort of like a very babyish version of the Ninja Turtles, like a little too watered down. But once again, I'll check out the movie. I just really don't like the designs, I guess. They all seem, you know who all the Ninja Turtles seem like in that new trailer? They all seem like Dustin from Stranger Things. I don't know. Yeah, they sound like 9-year-olds. Yes, they do. And don't get me wrong, there's some like teenage boys who sound like 9-year-olds, but I don't know. You could have like at least made them sound like 14-year-olds. Like, I don't know. Put a little more bass in their voice. When did turtles hit puberty? I don't know. The next one comes from Faisal Haiti. By the way, how did this happen? I'm 27 minutes behind on your questions. And by the way, thanks to all 301 of you watching right now. Thanks, guys. Thanks for looking at me. Yay. No, seriously, thank you. All right, so let's dive into the questions here. I'm going to try to go a little bit quicker because I'm falling behind. All right, here we go. Faisal Haiti says, hope you saw Triangle of Sadness already. Thoughts? I have not seen it. I'm sorry, I have not seen it. Logan Eckstein says, besides Billy and Stu, who's the better killers? I'd be hard pressed to pick better killers than Billy and Stu. I really would. I mean, I've seen all of the Scream movies, but I don't remember the intimate details of all the sequels. I can just tell you the last two movies, who the killers were. I was immensely disappointed. It's just like, oh, these people are the killers because. Like, I was hoping they'd go back to some legacy characters. It baffles my brain how they have not found a way to somehow bring Stu back into the mix. Somehow, some way. Like, how does Stu not have a brother we never heard of or something? I don't know. And have they ever solidified the fact that Stu is actually dead? Because I think there's a lot you could do with that character. Aaron Nick says, I'll be leaving on my honeymoon to Japan in a few weeks. Ooh, that sounds crazy, man. We'll have fun. However, I'm terrified about going on a plane. Have you ever experienced nervousness about flying? And if so, any tips to help calm my nerves? Statistically speaking, the odds are in your favor. So you probably have a better chance at like winning the lottery. I think you'll be okay. You know, statistically, you'll be okay, man. That's just the only problem I would have with that is being on a plane for like 18 hours to go to Japan. That to me sounds awful. Like, unless I'm in first class, which I'm poor, so I would not be, I don't think I could make that journey. I'm just at a point in my life where I can't be that close to people for that amount of time because I'll just freak out. And I would hope the plane would nosedive into the Atlantic Ocean at that point, or the Pacific. Either one. You're probably going the Pacific route. So yeah, you'll be fine, man. You know, just get some movies on your laptop or your phone, some podcasts. You'll be there in no time. And take some sleeping medication, you know, some NyQuil. Just knock your shit out. You'll be all right. InHomes25 says, John, thanks for these live shows. Very entertaining and funny. Well, thank you for that. I like the feedback. I'm always curious what people are thinking when they look at me. Is he funny? Is he slightly entertaining? Is he witty? Or is he a douchebag? Or all of these things. And I can take all of that. That's fine. As long as there's a slight bit of constructive criticism in there, that's fine by me. So I thank you for that. But here we go. The best parts are your stories from your past. Your Pizza Hut boss, your naked baths with your cousin. I've said that? Oh, I forgot I said that. Okay, continuing on. Your dad's anger when you ruined the Batman VHS. Good stuff. Yeah, man. You know, the truth is, sometimes you guys unlock these memories from my brain that I've suppressed over the years. And sometimes you guys just ask the question and it unlocks a memory I didn't even know I had. And I truly think that's why I enjoy the live stream so much. It's very therapeutic and almost cathartic in a way. So I thank you. Will H says, John, Wes Craven understood that Ghostface has to be convincingly unhinged and imposing when the mask comes off. Scream 1 and 2 are great examples of this. Yes, they are. Absolutely. And now we just have like, I'm a 25-pound kid in college and I did this because. It's like, get the fuck out of here, kid. You couldn't lift a 20-pound dumbbell, but you're telling me you ran down the street and killed a guy who weighs 3 times more than you? Like, I just can't, I can't suspend my disbelief anymore. I'm an old man and I'm bitter at society and I refuse to believe it. Jake Paul says, good to see you enjoying my energy drink. Cheers, John. Well, Jake Paul just gave me a super chat for $1. And for someone who's a millionaire, I say, well, thanks, but you know, I think you can do better. But yeah, the new Prime energy drink, it tastes like pool water. It really does taste like cleaning solution. Like, I should either be drinking this or cleaning my toilet with it. The next one comes from OE Reviews. Rewatching Spartacus series from Stars. Very underrated. It's like 300 Game of Thrones and softcore porn mixed into epicness. Thoughts on it? Well, those are all great genres. I will just put it that way. But I haven't watched it. I think I might have started like an episode or two like years and years ago. And like, I don't want to sound like a, I don't know, what's the term I'm looking for? Not highbrow, but at the time I watched it, I was just comparing everything to Game of Thrones because I was like, okay, no series can top the epicness of this. And when I went to watch Spartacus, it just wasn't on that level. So it kind of like turned me off from watching it. But, you know, it's something I could revisit down the road. Shut Up Cat Productions says, you should list the questions repeated to avoid super chats. List the questions repeated? I don't know how I would do that, man. How would I list every question that's ever been asked and where would I put it? I wouldn't know how to do that. Sometimes I get repeating questions, but sometimes I like to add answers to them that I didn't originally add sometimes, so it's okay. Wade's Movie World says, hi, John. Hope you're doing well. Did you go see Titanic again in theaters for the 25th anniversary of the film? Excuse me. I did not. I wanted to. Now, I did originally see it back in 2000, was that 2011? Was that 11, 12? When it came back out in a 3D release. And I did watch that, and I did put out a review for it, but I didn't go back this time around. I think I was busy that week. And plus, it's sort of one of those things. It's like, well, I own it. I could just watch it at home if I really wanted to. So yeah, I didn't. But is Titanic on 4K yet? It's coming to 4K, isn't it? Sometime soon. I don't know. Seems like the perfect 4K movie. Just putting it out there, James Cameron. Put your shit on 4K. Did you go see the new Titanic in 4K 3D at the theater? I heard it looked pretty good. It looked good last time I saw it a decade ago. And the 3D, even though post-converted, looked pretty good to me. All right, the next one. Someone said Jake Paul is on the run. All right, the next one comes from Will H. John, did you see Pearl yet? I did not. I thought you were going to say, did you see Pearl Harbor, directed by Michael Bay? I have. It's very well made and a lot different than X. You should check it out if you haven't. It takes place in 1918 and just feels fresh for horror. Yeah, I'm all for it, man. I've been meaning to get around to it. I just haven't. So it's on the to-do list for sure. Tom Tollin says, hey, John, you met my brother working at Proximo. Who would you pick to play Batman and Robin in The Brave and the Bold? Proximo, the pizza place? I met your brother? When? Which was this like in 2016? Let me know what year that was, Tom Tollin. That's a pizza place, right? And they had a big Transformer statue in the front. I think I remember that. Who would I don't know. At this point, maybe Gyllenhaal would be a good Batman. I don't know if they want someone slightly older than that. I'd have to really think about that. It's like, I always thought Gyllenhaal would be a great Batman or like a good Bruce Wayne. Who would I like to see play it's not going to be Robin. It's going to be Damian Wayne. I'm sorry. I just had a stroke. Playing his son. Timothy Chalamet? I don't know. But I'd like to see Gyllenhaal play Batman. Michael Entity says, movie that you always force people to watch. Besides Over the Top, usually Roadhouse, Waterworld, Nightcrawler. I don't force them to watch it though. One movie I always recommend, like if I know you like movies, like you have good taste in movies, you like epic movies, like you tell me I like movies like Gladiator or Shawshank Redemption, and I'm like, have you ever seen Master and Commander? That is my question. And if you say no to me, I'm going to say, okay, tonight you're going to go watch it. It's an epic fucking movie that takes place on the sea with Maximus himself, Russell Crowe. So yeah, that's always my recommendation to people. If they haven't seen, like, if they want an epic movie, like a cinematic experience, I always say go watch Master and Commander. Okay, the next one comes from, come on, where's it at? Bruce Cook. Good movie, lousy ending. Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. Movie should have ended long before it did. Yeah, it felt like the never-ending movie. You're like, oh my God, it's over. It's been 4 hours. I can go pee now because I didn't wear a diaper. Oh, no. Oh, it's still going. 47 minutes later, you're like, okay, well, I'm now sitting in my own piss and the movie is still going on. Oh, they're jumping on the bed now. Great. Yeah, so it's the never-ending movie. Logan Eckstein says, if Bale and Pattinson's Batman switched universes, who would do better in their alternate universe? I don't see Robert Pattinson's Batman putting up a really good fist fight with Bane. Just putting it out there. As a guy who really enjoyed The Batman, I just don't see it. I don't see him fighting Bane and like even hitting him once. Just a thought. I don't know. So I think Bale would succeed a little bit more so than Pattinson would. I mean, you got to think, man. Pattinson's Batman was like jumping off the Gotham Police Department for the first time, and he was a little bit scared. Christian Bale's Batman's jumping off the high skyscraper in Hong Kong and flying through another building and kicking ass. So yeah, it's not even a comparable thing. Okay, about 21 minutes behind on the questions here. Guy from Kings Highway. Just got back from the bar and there was an old guy depressingly drunk and singing 80s songs to himself. Felt like a scene out of a movie. That'll be my life one day. So yeah, enjoy that. You should have recorded it. That sounds great. I love to see stuff like that when I go out. Guy from Kings Highway again says, saw 65, it was pretty bad. I like Adam Driver, but once they introduced the random young girl character, I knew it was all going downhill. I've heard nothing but bad things about 65. I have a feeling it'll be on streaming next Wednesday. I'm hoping it does so I don't have to go to the theater to see it, but for the sake of entertainment value on YouTube and to have something new to say, I will probably go see that shit very soon. Maybe tomorrow. I'll see what my buddy's doing tomorrow. I'll go see it. But yeah, it's an hour and 40 minutes long. Like, how good of an epic movie could it possibly be? A guy from Kings Highway also says, as a New Yorker, Scream 6 disappointed me. It looked like a fake version of the city, though they hide it with aerial shots of the actual city. Yeah, I feel like the new Scream movie was just shot in some studio backlot somewhere, and then they had some drone shots of the city to like fill in the gaps. Like, there was nothing like pivotal about any scene in that movie. Like, the alleyway shot could have been made in like some town with like 30 people. They could have been shot anywhere. Yeah, it just felt like a waste of... It felt like they made that movie as cheap as they could, but these movies make money, so I don't get why the budgets have to like make the movies look so cheap. I don't know. Night King 01 says... Oh, and by the way, one more thing I want to say about the city backdrop in the new Scream movie. It's sort of like Jason Takes Manhattan, right? It's like they did everything in Jason Takes Manhattan not to actually shoot the majority of the movie anywhere near Manhattan. Most of those scenes in Jason Takes Manhattan were shot in like Canada, I believe. And most of the movie was actually shot on like some backlot somewhere where most of the movie in Jason Takes Manhattan takes place on a boat. Like 80% of the movie takes place on a small shitty boat. Keep that in mind. It's not Jason Takes Manhattan. It's Jason takes over this old boat. Okay. But thanks for the questions, man. Thank you for... Gave me like 4 really good questions. Thanks for that. Night King 01 says, I'm sorry, John, but if David was not intimidating, the original David was scary. Look him up. Also, why can't they just be cannibals? Why the religious stuff? David was intimidating, man. There's something about the uneasiness of predators like that in society. I'm not saying he's intimidating to the physical extent, but mentally, what that guy wants from you is terrifying. And also, he's in charge of the group. Also, why can't they just be cannibals? Why the religious stuff? I don't know. The religious stuff gives him some kind of power over people. In the name of religion, we're going to do this today. And people who are weak-minded follow it. I think that's why they did it. A guy from Kings Highway says, I'm turning 30 in April. When's your birthday? My birthday's in April too, April 19th. Are you an Aries? You are an Aries. I can always smell my own. But anyway, here we go. Any advice? I find good about it, but I'm curious, what are your thoughts are about the age in general? Okay. My brain, like the way you type that, I couldn't get it. So any advice? You're turning 30. Well, I will say enjoy 30, but 35 is going to be here tomorrow. Like, it's a weird phenomenon, man. It took so long to get to 30, but from 30 to 35, you're like, oh, I blinked. I'm here. Oh shit. And then I'm turning 36. I'll be 36 years old in just over a month. Like, my 30s are done. Like, I'm on my way to 40. Like, that's scary to me. Like, I'm a guy who's holding on to his childhood for dear life. Look at my background right now. I want to be 12 years old forever. So yeah, my best advice to you is, if you want some real advice, you want me to keep it real with you, financially speaking, start investing now. Every extra dollar you get, invest it, because it'll exponentially grow. And by the time you're 35, you'll be way ahead of the game. I wish I would have done that. But yeah, just enjoy your youth. I'm telling you right now, my back hurts more and more every day. I'm not even joking with you guys. There's some day my back is so tense and tight. I'm like bent over like an old man with scoliosis. If I don't take an anti-inflammatory drug, I'm just like, I don't feel like doing anything today. That's where I'm at in life. So don't let these boyhood looks and charming persona trick you. I'm an old man underneath this facade, okay? I'm crumbling. Mentally and physically. Okay, here we go. Aaron Nick says, random question here. What's your favorite cake? I liked ice cream cake, but it got a little bit too much for a while. What is my favorite cake? I don't know. Really, to be honest with you, I've never loved cake. Like, it's too rich. Sometimes the icing makes you want to gag because it's just like, and all the bread underneath the cake, it's like, I just don't want to eat it. So I've never loved cake. Now, what I do love is Mississippi mud pie. If you don't know what Mississippi mud pie is, I know it sounds weird. It's not. It's like Oreos and whipped cream and like some other stuff in there. I like that. I'm more of a fan of that. I actually like cheesecake. If I had to pick a cake, cheesecake. I'm going to go with that. That was a weird question. Kevy Rez says, are you going to check out Love and Death? What is Love and Death? TV miniseries. Oh, it's got Elizabeth Olsen in it? Okay, I have heard of this. When does this come out? April 27th on HBO? Yeah, man. Okay, I did hear about this. Yeah, I'm going to check it out. Yeah, the fact that it's going to HBO probably means it's quality, so I'm looking forward to it, man. Absolutely. Casper says, hey, John, I need your help. I'm redesigning my little home theater, but not sure if I should buy the 75 or 82-inch 4K TV or a 4K projector. The budget is open. Ooh, the budget is open? Okay. How big is your theater room? I need to know the size and dimensions of your theater room. So first of all, if you're looking at TVs and price isn't an option, I've never heard anyone say, oh man, I bought too big of a TV. No one's ever said that in the history of humanity. But they have said, oh man, I wish I would have got a bigger TV. So the 75 inch is out the window. It doesn't exist. Get it out of your brain. Erase it now. Go with the 82 at least. Now, I have an 83-inch LG OLED TV, which I would recommend. But if I had the space, and my theater room I don't have enough space between where I'm sitting and the screen to justify a projector, because if I did have an extra 5 or 6 feet, I would probably get a 120-inch projector screen, and I would get a short throw 4K projector. That's what I would do. So that would be my recommendation to you. If you have the space and you want the true cinematic vibe, go with the short throw projector and go with a 120-inch screen and get the gray screen, because it'll give you darker, richer blacks and better vivid colors as opposed to just a white screen. That's my recommendation. If price is no object, you can buy me one too. All right. And you can come over anytime you want for popcorn. I'll provide the popcorn. But yeah, man, definitely go. If you can do it, go with the projector all day. But if you want to simplify your life, go with the bigger OLED TV. Touch my camera through the fence flick pick? I don't know what that means. All right. Guy from Kings Highway, once again, man, you're killing it with the questions. You should come to New York City and hang out with me. We can watch Pierce Brosnan movies and get tacos. And I can tell you about what I've learned in this life. I can tell you a lot about what I've learned too. And we can explore the sewer system together while I'm in New York City. Yeah, if I'm ever in New York City, man, I'll look you up. I just don't have any plans to go there anytime soon. Do you actually live in the city, or do you live like in the suburbs of New York City? I've never understood how people actually live in the city of New York. Like you think, oh, I live in the city, everything's so convenient. But it's really not. Every time I've ever went to a big metropolis city, the concrete jungle, if you will, nothing is convenient. You're like, oh, I want to go eat. Okay, let's go eat. Then you spend like 80 minutes walking 3 blocks to get to some restaurant. There's a 4-hour wait because there's 8 tables to sit at. And I'm just like, how is this convenient to you? I can go to Chili's right down the street where I live and I can sit down at a booth and it's delicious. I don't know. Pazival says, how you doing? Doing Nick Cage impression from 8mm. What did you get you off or something? There you go. Jason Nelson says, hey John, I finally saw Bullet Train. It was pretty forgettable. There seems to be a dearth of good action movies these days. Thoughts? Yeah, Bullet Train was one of those films a lot of people said was great and phenomenal, but yet a month after it comes out, no one's talking about it. Yeah, it was stylistically cool to look at. I didn't hate the movie. It really did feel like a Netflix action movie. Like Netflix would have made and produced that and put it out. I didn't hate it, but it just sort of got repetitive halfway through. You know, if I want to watch an action movie on a train, I'd much rather watch something like Snowpiercer. Bullet Train was okay, but I just would never have the urge to watch it again. Like if I'm in a mood for an action movie, I don't think Bullet Train would be on my top 800 list. So, Aaron Nick says, hey John, curious to know what YouTubers you watch. In the past, I remember you mentioned that you don't usually watch movie-based channels. Any recommendations? Dude, it just really depends on what you like. I really don't watch a lot of movie-related channels. I truly don't. I mean, don't get me wrong. I subscribe to a lot of them. I occasionally watch one of their videos. Really, to keep it real with you, the one type of video on YouTube I don't watch that's movie related are people's movie reviews. I just don't find them interesting. Now, if someone does like a first reaction video in the parking lot of the movie theater, I'd much rather watch that than their sit down review. Because myself, that's my least favorite video to make, is like a sit down review. I don't know what it is. I just find it tedious. Some people love it, and that's why I do it. But for me, it's just like the least interesting type of video to watch or make. I watch like Linus Tech Tips. I watch some tech YouTubers. I can't even remember their names. I watch like one guy who reviews sound bars. I watch like vloggy channels. I watched one guy who had like a channel where he just talked about his life because he went to prison and now he has a painting business called After Prison Show. I watched him. I watch a guy named Max Tuning who has like it was kind of like a workout channel. Now it's like a vloggy channel. I watch him occasionally. There's a lot of YouTube channels I watch. I'm just like trying to think of the names and I just can't right now, but I watch a little bit of everything on YouTube. The weird thing is I watch like the weirdest shit ever that you wouldn't think I would, but I do. But like, I like videos on YouTube that are vloggy. Like, if I see someone who makes videos on YouTube that has like a movie channel, if they make a video giving like a tour of their movie room or their YouTube studio, I love those types of videos. But they could make 800 other videos talking about like certain movies and I'll never click on them. I don't know. I just like, that does not intrigue me. I'll tell you my least favorite type of video to watch are like, how do I say this? Movie channels that break down everything in a movie. Like, here's 18 Easter eggs about things that you didn't see, but you didn't want to know, but you should know. So I'm going to put circles around it and show it to you. Those are my least favorite types of videos. Oh, I know one channel I like. Minty Reviews. He's an Australian guy who gives like movie facts about movies and he chimes in with his own opinion every once in a while. I like his channel. So that's my recommendation. Go watch him. He makes some good stuff. Where was I at with the questions here? Okay. Okay. Claudia Rogajon. Here we go. Hey, John. By your own admission, you haven't watched Shanghai Nights in 20 years. Give it a watch again. It's not terrible, I assure you. It is terrible, I assure you, because I did rewatch part of it, I think, at least in the last 5 years. And I got to the point where little Aaron Taylor Johnson, who plays young Charlie Chaplin, shows up and he says, "Good day to you too, sir." And that's the point where I turned it the fuck off. If you want to watch a Jackie Chan movie, just go watch Rumble in the Bronx. Mika Claiborne. Hey, man, how's it going? And very generous super chat from Mika Claiborne here. Thank you so much, man. Here it goes. First time sending a question. Been following you since Batman and Robin Hilariosity review. Why, thank you for that. Here's the question. Oh, it's actually not a question. Just wanted to say thank you for brightening my days among the toughest moments of my life. You are a hero of mine. Well, Mika, I don't know if I can live up to such a compliment, but I do thank you for one. So thanks for that, man. Thank you, man. Very generous of you. And just keep watching me, please. I need you. But thanks for that, man. Thanks. Oh, Mika. See, I like shit like that. That makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside. Thanks for that, man. Joseph Knoll says, do you miss your boss, Nikki, from Pizza Hut? Oh, my God, that bitch. Yeah, so if you didn't know, I worked at Pizza Hut, and I had this boss who, she had this face. It just always looked like she was sucking on something sour, because she probably was when she went home. But hear me out for a second. This bitch, there was a time when I worked at Pizza Hut, and at the end of the night, we had these pre-made pizzas we keep in a heater, right? They were nice pizzas. They might have been sitting there for like an hour or two, and if people didn't buy them, at the end of the night, we gave them out to employees, because why not, right? She took all of the pizzas, like 10 pizzas that people could have eaten, right? And just went out and threw them into the dumpster because she was having a bad day. I hope she's in a lot of pain right now. I hope she's suffering and in a lot of pain. Nikki, if you're watching, you piece of shit, I hate you. All right, let's go to the next question. How do you remember that, Joseph? How do you remember that story? Shut Up Cat Production says, figure it out. Also, how much to poop on camera? Oh, man. See, I'm saving things like that for my OnlyFans one day. When I run out of talent, and I have a little bit left to give you, but when I truly run out of all the talent I have left, I'm going to do an OnlyFans. Or I'm going to cover myself in baby oil and take pictures. Because it's like everyone has an OnlyFans now, right? So at that point is when I can maybe perform some kind of act like that. I'm sure it'll be reasonable. I don't know. Let's just go to the next question. Claudia Rojan says, did you start watching Sons of Anarchy yet? I did not, man. I don't know if I'm ever going to pull the trigger, but I'll put it on the back burner. One day, when I truly run out of shit to watch, I'll start watching Sons of Anarchy. I just don't know if I can buy into them being in a biker gang. I don't know. Like Ron Perlman, I just don't know if I can buy him being in the Hells Angels. InHomes25 says, John, Ratatouille, or Wall-E? I think most people would say Ratatouille might be like the better movie, but I think Wall-E's probably the more entertaining movie. But for me, when it comes to Wall-E, and by the way, I have to do it, Wall-E, I would have loved in the first act of that film when Wall-E is on a desecrated planet Earth picking up trash when he's all by himself, because I like movies about characters by themselves. I would have liked if the majority of the movie was just that. Like, as soon as he went on the Fat People cruise ship, I was like, I don't really care anymore. But I liked when he was just, like, picking up trash by himself. I would have liked that movie. Shut Up Cat Productions says, what's your all-time prized possession? Scream sucks. All-time prized possession? I don't know, man. I'd have to... Trying to think of anything like to me, stuff is just stuff. That's the truth. Like, I got some cool stuff, don't get me wrong, but it's just really stuff to me. It really is. It's all replaceable, you know. There's some maybe family photos or something, I guess you could say, or I'll tell you, you know, the things that I own, the possessions I own that are valuable to me aren't just because they're like my movie collection, right? For example, I can replace all those Blu-rays back there. I truly can. But I've been able to make a career on YouTube out of those movies back there. And that's why I will always keep those movies. I've been able to justify my existence on YouTube with those movies back there. You know, over the years, they've propped me up, you know, and it's given me a reason to like make videos and an excuse to talk to a camera. To me, that's why those are valuable. You know, and plus, like I've said, you know, just physically being able to go back there and take that movie off the shelf, it's like, it's truly more than just a movie to me. It's like a little physical emotion that I control on the shelf that I can unlock when I choose to. So yeah, maybe my movie collection, you know, just because all the sentimental value that goes into them. Will H says, John, if James Cameron offered you a spot on his next descent down to Titanic wreck site in the Atlantic, would you go? Absolutely, man. That's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Yes, absolutely, I'd go down there. That you couldn't... If I was a rich, wealthy man, that would probably be one thing I would like to go do. Like, I'd much rather dive to the bottom of the ocean and look at the Titanic in person than go into like space. Honestly. In-Homes 25 says, John, I know you weren't in the mood for a Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe, but have you seen any of the new episodes of Beavis and Butthead? A lot shorter and very funny. Mike Judge hasn't lost a beat. No, Mike Judge is always a funny dude. I have not watched the new episodes of Beavis and Butthead, though. I have not. Those boys are whacking off in my tool shed. You little bastards. In-Homes 25 says, John, at this point, Michael Bay might as well direct the next Scream, and it'll be called Scream in Space. Well, it'll have robots in it, too. Don't get it wrong, man. And the killer at the end of the movie was Mark Wahlberg. Hey, what are you doing over there? I just wanted to kill you or something. Hey, I'm your second cousin. That's why I'm going to kill you. Claudia Rogajon says, I hope Austin Butler doesn't win for Elvis at the Oscars. I hope they give it to Brendan Fraser because he's not intimidating someone. Oh, he's not imitating someone. I can't read. So, yes, I put out a tweet about this, and I loved the backlash I got. I loved it. A lot of Austin Butler fanboys who have pages dedicated to his shirtless pictures were mad at me, and I loved it. But I'm going to start dedicating my Twitter page to Brendan Fraser shirtless. Okay? Hear me out for a second. No. My thing with Austin Butler playing Elvis, first of all, the movie itself was a very glossy montage of a musical. It didn't feel like a real biopic. It felt like a montage reel. It felt like the highlight reel, but very glossy. The Austin Butler did a pretty good Elvis impression. And then he didn't lose the accent for 3 years after the movie, and he still has it for some odd reason, for some pretentious Hollywood reason, because it makes him seem more serious than he is. Even though, I just think Brendan Fraser deserves the award more than Austin Butler. I think he did something more unique, more original. It was sort of a role I feel like only he could portray, and it was more captivating and moving to me. And I think the movie overall was better. It made me feel something. And listen, I think Elvis could be a great biopic. I just don't think the Elvis movie was a good biopic. I just don't. It was very just surface level. Night King 01 says, I don't know, John. Maybe it's me. I've seen that actor before, and he always plays the idiot of the group. Plus, Nolan North's voice as David was terrifying. Oh, yeah, it's very somber and smooth, but that's the creepiest voice you can have. If you want to be truly intimidating, don't yell at people. Just talk very soft, and they'll hang on every word that you say. Do you have any out-of-print Blu-rays? I don't know if off the top of my head I do. I wanted Zodiac. At one point, I had the Drive, or License to Drive DVD when it was out of print. And then I also had Drop Dead Fred on DVD when it was out of print. And then they brought them back, so they weren't as valuable. But as far as Blu-rays out of print, I don't know. I wanted Apocalypto at one point. I think that might have been out of print, and Zodiac, but other than that, I can't think of anything else. But I still don't have them. Thoughts on Menace to Society? I love it. I love a great urban culture movie like that. Like Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society. I watched Menace to Society probably like 10 times in my life. I truly enjoy that movie. Like if you can't have a movie like Stand By Me, I like to go the polar opposite of it, and you watch like Menace to Society. Right? There's some kind of like weird camaraderie still there, and I like watching like young youths do crazy shit. But yeah, I like it. Aaron Nick says, in your opinion, who has the best chicken sandwich, regular or spicy? I'm more of a spicy chicken sandwich guy, but usually they give me the shits. It depends how spicy it is, but when I go to Chick-fil-A, I always get the spicy chicken sandwich, man. Gus Babington says, forget Elvis. Have you seen Bubba Hotep? I have. I've seen clips, but I don't think I've ever wasted enough moments in my life to sit down and watch the movie. It cost $250,000 to go see. $250,000 to go see the Titanic. Yeah, like I said, if I was a wealthy man, I would go see the Titanic. Absolutely. Not a bad deal, though. I mean, the price of our house is what it costs to go see the Titanic. What did I answer that? Okay. Guy from Kings Highway, back again. Here we go. Watched You, Me, and Dupree. Owen Wilson burns down half of his friend's house in it, and they forgive him immediately. How forgiving are you of friends? Not that forgiving at all. But then again, I guess if my friend burned down half my house, I would hope that my homeowner's insurance would cover it and I could replace a lot of shit. So that might be okay. But speaking of You, Me, and Dupree, I shot a Flick Trip video and I'll put it out at some point. But I think I showed the You, Me, and Dupree section of this used video store, and there's like 8,000 copies of it, all collecting dust. Not one has been sold in the last decade, and I love it. It comforts me. Bastiel says, hello, John. One of the best film scores for me is that of Basil Polydorus for Conan the Barbarian. Polydorus? Did I say that right? Among other things, he also made the music for Starship Troopers. Which one do you like better? I'm trying to remember the score for Conan the Barbarian, man. I can vaguely remember it, but not off the top of my head. Starship Troopers score fit very well for exactly what it was, but I need to go back and listen to the Conan the Barbarian score. I remember, I'm sure it's like epic, but I don't remember it. I'd have to go back. I want to go do that now. I'm going to go do that at some point later tonight. Will H says, John, have you ever been to any famous movie locations? I recently went to the staircase from The Exorcist in Georgetown. It was really cool. I was meaning to go see the Home Alone house forever, which is located in a suburb of Chicago. And I was also meaning to go, when I lived near Cleveland, I wanted to go see the Christmas Story house, but coincidentally, I never did. I'm trying to think of have I been to any famous movie locations? I've been to the tar pits in Los Angeles, and wasn't there a scene in Last Action Hero that took place there? I'm trying to think. I know I have. I don't know. Have I been to any famous movie locations? Nothing's ringing a bell right now. I don't know. I'm going to think on that. I had to have been to one, right? I've been to LA like 5 times. I had to hit one of them. I mean, I'm sure accidentally I did if I went to Los Angeles, but off the top of my head, nothing that stands out. A guy from Kings Highway says, I do live in a city, but I live away from the heart of it. I live a few blocks from where John Travolta gets pizza in Saturday Night Fever. That's pretty cool, man. Is the pizza place still there? Baron says, did you ever see The Banshees of an Irishman? It's a masterpiece. I started to watch it on HBO Max yesterday, and I got 5 minutes into it, and I got really tired and went to bed. So I'm gonna continue watching it at some point. I've heard nothing but good things. Guy from Kings Highway says, my neighborhood is like the blocks from Requiem for a Dream. Darren Aronofsky actually grew up around me. Maybe that's why I like his movies so much. Yeah, it's relatable. I get it, man. That's cool. That's pretty cool. I don't know if where I lived would want to, if I lived somewhere, I would not want to think of like Requiem for a Dream when I looked at my neighborhood. For some odd reason, that would have just put a sour taste in my mouth. Scott Sullivan, are you looking forward to watching Avatar: The Way of Water on 4K at home with all the behind the scenes features? I sure as hell am. Oddly enough, I was telling my girlfriend this the other day, and I was like, you know what would make a really good movie on the OLED at home with surround sound as you take edibles and just lose yourself? Something just a pure spectacle popcorn movie. I was like, I want to watch Avatar: The Way of Water again at home. So yes, I am looking forward to it, and I can't wait to get that shit on 4K. The thing that pisses me off though about it is they're releasing it on streaming long before they're putting the 4K out, which just disgusts me to my core. Like, okay, so you're putting the 4K out on streaming, which is still going to be compressed, rather than put the optical disc out, which is going to look far superior, and I have to wait an extra month. That pisses me off. But yeah, I'm absolutely going to watch it on 4K when it comes out. InHomes25 says, John, is The Simpsons arcade worth it? I almost swapped it at Best Buy for $300, and now it's back above $500. So here's my thing with the Simpsons arcade. I'm swapping that one out with another one I picked up today. And the reason being is my buddy who has more nostalgia love for the Simpsons arcade than I do. I played it. I beat it. It's cool. If I had the room and the space to have multiple arcade machines, like 5 or 6 of them, I would keep it. But the replay value for me is a little bit low. Now, if you like the game, you grew up playing it, and you want it somewhere in your house to remind you of, the good days of being young and fruitful, then get it. But for me, like, after you beat the campaign once, what do, right? The bowling game's okay for like 10 minutes. But for me, I like games that have a little bit more replay value or more variety on them. And I wish the Simpsons arcade cabinet had more games on it. I think that would have been nice. But I paid like $300 something for mine. It was used. So I guess it's sort of subjective at this point, but I would recommend getting something with more replay value. Jason Nilsson says, can you watch Jesus Revolution and do a review? I don't even know what that is, man. I don't know what that is. Can I just watch Passion of the Christ again and do a review of that? Dan5271 says, oh, hi, John. Oh, hi, Dan5271. How are you? Funny How says, just watch The Banshees of an Irishman. Some great film metaphorically about the stupidity of war. Both performances were outstanding. It took me like 4 minutes to read that word. I don't know why. That was just too much for me at this point. I've heard nothing but good things, man. I'm going to watch the movie just so I can say I watched the movie. And my only fear is I'm not going to love it as much as everyone else did. Metaphorically. Yeah, I can read, I promise. Aaron Nick says, have a good stream, John. I got to work in the morning, so I'll see you in the next live show. Well, thanks for joining, man. And hey, go now. You can watch the replay later. That's my advice to you, but thanks, man. Get some sleep. Dream about me. Claudia Rogajon says, do you watch Greg Doucetti at all? Greg Doucetti? Is he a comedian? I don't know who Greg fucking Doucetti is, man. Oh, he's a YouTuber? Let's see what... Oh, he's a fitness guy. No. Actually, I have come across his videos before. Typically not. He sounds like he does commentary on like the fitness community. So typically not, but now I'm gonna subscribe to him right now. There you go. Done. All right, the next one comes from Claudia Rogujan. Have you seen Jackie Chan's older movies like Dragons Forever? It just got a 4K re-release with the original language. It's really fun and badass. I have not, man. There's so many old Jackie Chan movies I have never watched. A lot of them just feel like they were sort of made on the fly. Like I've watched clips from them and I'm like, I don't know if I'd watch the feature length version of that film, but the clip was fine, but I have not seen that. Donnie says, does it bother you the use of the N-word in some films? I see, my opinion on things like that is why? No, it doesn't, but I don't have a right to be offended by it. I have no right. Just like when it comes to taking the, like renaming football teams that were called a certain name relating to Native Americans, we don't have the right to dictate that. That should be left to Native Americans. They should have a poll where they take a vote and they have the option. Why are we getting offended for other people like that? I hate that. So no, in some movies, it's historically correct. Like if there's a movie that takes place in the 1800s about slavery, that might have been a historically correct term at the time. You might not agree with it. It's not right. But if that's what people were saying at the time, then it's accurate. And I think to change that would be manipulating history. And I don't like that. So, does it offend me? No, but I don't have a right to be offended by it. InHomes25 says, John Fincher's Zodiac is criminally underrated. Do you think the real Arthur Leigh Allen was the Zodiac? I do. And I don't remember specifically why. I just remember it's the interview that they did at his workplace. And a lot of things adding up. Well, some things just didn't add up. He seemed guilty as possible. And also, I don't remember all the things that went into it, but he seemed very guilty. Yes, I do believe he was the Zodiac. Favorite stand-up comedians or bands? From Trash Daddy. What a great name. Favorite comedians? I liked George Carlin's commentary on society back in the day. I don't think he wasn't like a funny comedian to me, but he was a very interesting comedian I like to listen to. Modern day comedians, I don't know. Tom Segura's okay at times. There's a few other comedians that stand out to me. Bill Burr every once in a while makes me laugh. Those would be a few. What's the other guy who has a very monotone voice? He had a few Netflix specials. He's really popular. From New York City. I can't remember his name. John's always real. Never change, man. I got to keep it real. If I don't keep it real, I just can't do it. Comedy is almost a crime here in Brazil. Interesting. It's becoming a crime here too because no one can take a fucking joke anymore. All right, the next one comes from Night King 01. John, this is going to be another request for you to watch Ronin. If you want actual cinema, not regurgitated baby food, watch this free on YouTube. I will, man. I will. I've watched, actually, I don't know. Ronin, yes, I have seen parts of it. I took a film class in college. We did study, I think, a scene or two, but that was before I was like truly into it. So I didn't take the time to really focus on watching it. That happens when you get older. You realize what quality cinema is the older you get. Like you think you know when you're younger, but you truly realize what it is when you get older. So one of these days I'll get around to watching the complete movie. Mark Norman, no. Bill, no. Pete Davidson, no, absolutely not. He's like a very clean comic guy. He's like a little bit younger. He lives in New York City. He has thick, dark eyebrows. He always wears a suit on his stand-up routines. What's with that? He kind of talks like that. Someone help me out. I don't remember. Let's see. Okay, the next one, Ben Cloverfield Lane. That's a great name. Are you drinking an energy drink at midnight? Yes, I am, but I have to, man. I can't. Well, let me tell you guys something. When it comes to my videos, and I'm super energetic, and I'm on, and I'm quick, I'm not always like that. It takes caffeine and practice to get there. And as soon as I'm done recording videos, I instantly collapse and become an 87-year-old man, and I turn into dust. So yes, I am drinking an energy drink at midnight. It's the only way I can keep up with the youth of today. Sam Morrell, or Merle, whatever the fuck his name is. No, John Mulaney. Yes, that's who you got it. John Mulaney's who I'm talking about. You got it. Thanks, man. When do I sleep? There's some days where I have a normal schedule where I go to sleep at like a normal time. Like I like to go to bed by like 2 o'clock. That way I can wake up by like 9. You know, if I wake up by 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, that's as early as I need to be up. So typically that's when I prefer to, but there's some days where I can't sleep and I'll be up until the sun rises and then I'll just wake up at like noon. I'm a weirdo. I don't have a normal sleep schedule. That's probably what's wrong with me. All right, the next one comes from Faisal Hades says, Brendan Fraser was good, but it was a makeup performance. No, the makeup made you believe he was an obese man, but his performance made you believe what he was saying was real. There were sequences in there where he's like pouring his heart out. It's the tone, his vocals, just the way he delivered some of his lines. You could feel the pain in his voice. There was a scene in The Whale where he's binge eating, and it's truly terrifying. You know, he wasn't going, "I'm Elvis Presley, and come here, little lady." Okay, you know, there's probably 18 actors in Hollywood who could play Elvis. How many actors could have played The Whale? Just putting it out there. Besides Nicolas Cage. What's the matter? You want some Twinkies or something? How about we eat a shark? The next one comes from Guillaume Labelle. Watched Scream 6 tonight and had a lot of fun. Shot in my hometown of Montreal, Canada. Probably my third favorite after 1 and 2. That's fair, because I feel like all the sequels after 1 and 2 sort of blend together. But fair enough. And yeah, it was clearly shot in Canada because that shit was not shot in New York. Glad you enjoyed it though, man. Night King 01 says, perfect track for Conan Raiders of Doom, one of the greatest, most epic tracks ever conceived on YouTube. Epic choir, badass drums, perfect. Let me write this down because I'm gonna look up the soundtrack after I'm done here. And here's what I want you guys to do. I want you guys to listen to the soundtrack of Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron, and I want you to listen to the Bryan Adams songs on that soundtrack. And if it doesn't move you or slightly arouse you, then I failed you. But take my advice and go do it. All right? So what am I doing here? Oh. Raiders of Doom. I'm going to listen to that shit later, man. All right, here we go. 10 minutes behind on the questions. And by the way, guys, stop. No more questions with the super chats because I'm already 10 minutes behind, and I still have some questions here from YouTube members I'm going to try to get to. And I do have to wrap this live show up at some point before 5 o'clock in the morning. We're not going anywhere, so stay tuned, but just stop asking questions right like in the next 10 seconds. You get 10 seconds. Then no more new questions. All right, here we go. Faisal H says, favorite Blu-ray labels, boutique. Besides Criterion, I think Arrow Video is putting out some cool stuff. I think they take their time and put out some really nice titles and the artwork and the covers and the special editions. So probably Arrow Video right now for me. There's a lot of movies that they put out that I need to get my hands on, like Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Guillaume Labelle, back once again, just saw that they're re-releasing Darren Aronofsky's Pi in IMAX. Have you ever watched it? If so, what are your thoughts? I have not seen it. I think that's the only Aronofsky film I've never seen. Did you guys like it? Would you recommend watching it? Casper says, difference between QLED and OLED, LG versus Samsung. QLED is essentially just LED. It's just an LED TV. My recommendation would always and forever be OLED. It's a superior picture quality in every way. You'll get better picture quality, better contrast. It can't be topped. QLED is a marketing term used to try to compete with OLED without actually having the better technology to do so. And so I would recommend going with LG, LG OLED TVs. It's getting late versus Samsung QLEDs, in my opinion. Now, I know Samsung, I think they put out an OLED TV. I think they put out their first OLED TV. So the jury's still out on that, but I would always recommend LG OLEDs. They always have the cheapest OLED TVs, and they're pretty damn good. Mika Claiborne, how's it going, Mika? Once again, another great question here. What is your single favorite moment from any Batman movie? Mine is when he climbs the pit in The Dark Knight Rises with the Rise score, beautiful parallel of young Bruce falling into the cave, chills every time. Yeah, man, I remember thinking that exact thought as I was watching it for the first time in the theater. And when that score swells up, I literally wanted to stand up in the theater and go out and fight crime instantaneously. Like, it literally gave me chills all over my spine and made my nipples hard. That's the truth. Not even a joke. When I say that, that is the truth. Like, for me not to tell you my nipples got hard would be a blatant lie. And I don't want to lie to you guys. What a beautiful moment. Another scene that actually thinking of The Dark Knight Rises, when Batman's fighting Bane for the first time down in the sewer, and he's sort of getting his ass kicked, and he's like covered in water and dripping, and he goes, oh, and he swings at Bane. I remember thinking, ooh, this shit's getting brutal. I really enjoyed that quite a bit as well. But for me, my favorite moment, I'm trying to think here. My favorite moment. God, man, that's a hard question for me to answer. Whew. I don't know. I don't know. I would like to give you the honest answer, and I'm trying to like condense it down. That's a great question for you guys. What is your favorite moment in the Dark Knight trilogy? Yeah, I don't know. There's so many. There's so many magical moments. Like, I like this. Like, I like stupid little moments. Like in Batman Begins, when he's like, we can take my car, Commissioner Gordon. He's like, I brought mine. And then the lights on the tumbler light up and he flies by, and Commissioner Gordon goes, oh, I got to get me one of those. And just like the chase sequence in that moment with the music playing as Katie Holmes is dying from a psychotropic hallucinogen over in the passenger seat. That entire sequence, like always, I loved it, you know? So, God, I'd be hard pressed just to pick one moment. The interrogation scene in The Dark Knight is my favorite. One of mine as well. And the weird thing is there's like no score playing during that interrogation scene. And if there is, I don't remember it. The truck chase scene, another good one, man. Absolutely. Rocky says Colin Farrell in The Banshees of an Irishman is better than Fraser and Austin Butler. His performance is extremely realistic. I am putting my money on him to win the Oscar. Yeah, I'm gonna finish the movie at some point this week. But I'm hard pressed to say Brendan Fraser. I feel like he deserves it, man. I feel like he deserves it. He's earned it. Trash Daddy says, what is your favorite stand-up comedian and bands? I answered that earlier. Mickey C says, did you see Jake Gyllenhaal filming Roadhouse at UFC? We talked about that earlier. I did see the UFC clips of him probably getting kicked out of the UFC in the movie, thus becoming a bouncer at some shitty bar. I'm looking forward to that, man. I never thought Gyllenhaal would be in a Roadhouse remake, but here we are, and I can't wait to see it. It's like someone went into my brain and said, let's take one of John's favorite guilty pleasure movies and one of his favorite actors and combine the two. Thank you. Bruce Cook says, say, John, don't you visit the Shawshank site in Mansfield when you lived in Columbus? That is thank you for reminding me of what I've done in my life, because I forgot I've fucking been there. Yes, I've been to the Mansfield Reformatory where they shot the Shawshank Redemption. I've been there during the Halloween season. It's actually a haunted house attraction. So you're right. I have been there. Thank you for reminding me. I feel like you guys know my life better than I do, and I thank you for that. Thanks, man. Yes, that's probably the most famous filming location I've been to. Claudio Rogajon says, did you watch Ride with the Devil yet? I did not, Claudio. I did not, man. Gilliam LaBelle says, thoughts on the Super Mario Bros. Movie, 1993. I saw that shit in theaters 3 times. And even as a kid, I was like, there's something off about this. I don't know what it is. I know this isn't right. This isn't like the games. And John Leguizamo is just like, what is this? A giant booga or something? And then you had Dennis Hopper playing King Bowser. And then you had the Toad people that had little heads. It was a bizarre, like, it was like somebody played Super Mario Brothers for like 12 minutes, went on an acid trip, then wrote the screenplay for the movie. And that's what we got. It's a weird phenomenon. I want to go back and revisit it at some point when I'm completely intoxicated. But yeah, it's always a weird movie. The 50% Doctor Who podcast say, John, come to Australia and do a shoey? What's a shoey with me? A showy or shoey? I don't know what that is, man, but it sounds like a good time. I'll be there. You just buy me a plane ticket to go to Australia, and I'll come. That's really all it takes. I'm putting it out there. Okay. I'm going to answer some, earlier I put out a post for some of my YouTube members. So I thank you guys for being here. And I said, hey, ask me some questions on the community tab on the YouTube channel. So here we go. Steel Force 1131 says, hey, John, besides Hannibal Lecter and Buffalo Bill, who are some creepy serial killer characters you love? Well, besides, I mean, I wouldn't even say Patrick Bateman's a serial killer. He's just a guy I like. Serial killer characters. You could go with John Doe in David Fincher's Seven. That'd be one. I liked, now if you want to talk about TV series, and maybe that's not a fair assessment because they're based on real life serial killers, but like if you watch Mindhunter on Netflix, the TV series, like some of the portrayals of the serial killers in there were pretty good, I would say. I liked what they were doing with the BTK killer. That was pretty sadistic shit. Also, I think I'm trying to think of like another serial killer I quite enjoyed. I know that's a weird, deranged question, but let me think on it. I'm trying to think of like another serial killer from a movie I really, really enjoy. I'll tell you what serial killers I don't like, the ones in the new Scream movie. One Murph Hundergod, did I say that right? What happened to DB Cooper? What's your prediction for the boxing match between Boogie and Wings? I have no clue on the boxing match between Boogie and Wings. Are you talking about Boogie from YouTube? He's boxing someone? What? Is that? Oh, I don't know. I don't know what that is. DB Cooper, I think he just got away with it. He went on with his life and he's living happily ever after. And I like that. Joseph Knowles says, rewatched Broken Arrow last night. They just don't make him like they used to. John Travolta's death scene is hilarious. In fact, most of the movie is. Oh yeah, the John Travolta death scene in Broken Arrow is glorious shit. Right before he dies, he's impaled by a giant missile. You can see clearly that they replaced John Travolta with a John Travolta dummy. And he just goes from being John Travolta to a dummy. And then he just blows out of the back of a fucking train. It's glorious. I love it. Yeah, it's like the movie Broken Arrow, which was sort of like a substandard action movie in the 90s, which I love, they could not remake that today. Like, that's where we're at with quality cinema and action movies. They could not make another Broken Arrow today. Like, but in the 90s, that was just like, that was okay, but everyone was like more focused on movies like Face Off or Speed. Side Mike says, thoughts on Buffalo Wild Wings. I just had a conversation with a friend of mine about Buffalo Wild Wings, and we both came to the same conclusion. Buffalo Wild Wings is utterly disgusting. Now, at one point, it tasted pretty good, but now it just tastes like microwaved roadkill. Like, the food is always cold. If you go to Buffalo Wild Wings, when there's no one else there, it's not busy, you get food, and when you get it, parts of it are cold. Like, you can get wings, and half of it's cold. Like, you'll get a hot one, and then one's cold. And then you get, like, a burger, and it's, like, mushy and soft and soggy. Buffalo Wild Wings is utterly disgusting. Just thinking about it gives me food poisoning. DJ Run 01 says, can you say this in a Christopher Walken voice? Get my wife's name at your effing mouth. You know, just gorgeous. That's all I got. I'm sorry. The impressions get worse the later it gets. All right, I'm going to wrap up this live show here with the last few questions. So, guys, please don't ask any more questions, or else I'll have to save them until the next live show. So, here we go. Kung Fu Hot Dog. How's it going, man? Who's been a member for 16 months. Says, hey, gorgeous John. Have you ever bought films that end up never being watched? Thanks for your email, you super nice guy. Well, thanks for that, man. I'm sure I have some Blu-rays back there still in the plastic I've never got around to watching. I'm trying to think what they would be. There's a lot of movies that get sent to me that I've never watched. Ooh, would you guys like to see 2 new Steelbook 4K movies that were recently sent to me? Let me know. I'll have to go get them. If you want to see that, give this video a like and a thumbs up, because the YouTube algorithm needs that shit. And so do I, because it instantly makes me feel better about who I am. All right. But yeah, if you want to see those, let me know. But I don't know which movies. I've every single movie in my collection I probably have seen. There might be 1 or 2 in there. There might be some like random, like, oh, you know what it is? Like, I think I own the 10 Commandments, and I don't think I've ever watched it. That might be one. NRML Design says, hey, John, are you planning on reviewing Stuckman's movie when it comes out? What if it sucks? Then I'll just review it. Yeah, I gotta review it. I know the guy. I hung out with the guy. We were best buddies. He made a movie. I gotta talk about it. Now, am I gonna say it sucks? No. I'll give it like constructive criticism. But yeah, I think I have to like review it. I have to. Claudia Rogujon says, Broken Arrow is one of the most boring action movies. There is literally basically one action scene, and it's at the end. Hard target over that any day. No, there's more than one action scene. What are you talking about? They have the opening scene where they're on a stealth fighter and they get in a fucking fist fight in the cockpit and fly out of it and parachute down. Then there's the helicopter chase scene where they like shoot at Christian Slater. Then there's like the Humvee chase scene. Then there's the mineshaft action sequence. Then there's the train scene at the very end. I'm sure there's a few other scenes I'm not thinking of. That was 5 off the top of my head. Gilliam LaBelle says, funniest death scene in a movie. Well, you mentioned The Dark Knight Rises earlier, and I think that contains one of the funniest death scenes of all time. My father will have his vengeance. Like, whatever the fuck she said. That was hilarious. All right, guys. Yeah, let me go get the 2 Steelbook 4K movies that were recently sent to me. Speaking of action movies, I think both of them are action movies. And one of them is definitely a 1990s action movie. So I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Like, I'm just going to leave the camera going. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. And here we go. Yeah, speaking of 1990s action movies, coincidentally, I have two 1990s action movies I want to talk about with you that were recently sent to me. These are both on 4K. They come with a Blu-ray and digital copy. And these are both Steelbooks, man. They're nice looking Steelbooks, still in the plastic. I've not opened these yet. But the first one is Air Force One, starring Harrison Ford, the man himself, which is sort of like Die Hard on a Plane, kind of, sort of, where the president, saves the day. And I like this movie, but I've never loved Air Force One. I just never have. Something about Harrison Ford performances outside of like a select characters that he's played. I've just never been in love with him outside of like Indiana Jones and Han Solo and a handful of other movies. I know that's maybe an unpopular opinion. I think this is a very good 90s action movie. It's got the villain of the movie, Commissioner Gordon, Gary Oldman. There we go. It's getting late. I think he makes a great villain. I just, like, every time I'm in the mood for something like this, I just watch Die Hard or Die Hard 3, for example, or something like Speed, similar concepts. But yeah, it's a great looking Steelbook. Look at that shit. Look how sexy that is. And the next one I have is The Mask of Zorro. Now, this is one of those movies that came out, I think, in 98, I believe. And there's so many similarities when you break down the character of Zorro and Batman. And I'm not saying like Batman took from Zorro. I mean, I guess Batman kind of borrowed a little bit from Zorro because it came first. But there are similarities. Like, he hangs out in a cave. He's a masked vigilante who was wronged in life, and he comes from money. I like those similarities. That's what I'm saying. I like that. But this is a film that I had just recently watched for the first time like 5 years ago. And I was like, wow, that was a really well-made, like, late 90s movie. And I don't know why I waited almost 20 years to watch it, but I enjoyed it. If you've never seen Mask of Zorro, it's pretty entertaining, and it's a really cool steelbook. Look at that. You can't really see it. There we go. Can you see it now? So, yeah. Definitely two movies I'm going to keep. Maybe I should go back and rewatch Air Force One. It's been a while, but yeah, I liked it, but I've never loved it. Anyone else feel the same way? Let me know. Mask of Zorro is underrated. I agree. It kind of is. If you've never seen it, go check it out. I'm sure it's streaming somewhere right now. All right. Last few questions are coming from Joey Ruiz, Lord of the Rings. Meet and greet, book signing, only can meet one, Michael J. Fox or John Travolta. I'd like to meet Michael J. Fox. I doubt he's signing books in this condition, though. I don't know if that was supposed to be a joke, but I definitely like to meet Michael J. Fox. John Travolta would be cool as fuck to meet too, though, man. I'm not gonna lie, but I think I'd rather have like a picture with Michael J. Fox. You know what I mean? J-Man says, John, how do you deal with empty feelings that come from finishing a series or PR movie you've been looking forward to? Yeah, after you get done with a series, you do feel this emptiness. You're like, wow, the adventure is over. The ride is over. It's kind of like life. You become an old man one day and you look in the mirror and you're like, wow, the adventure is over. It's kind of sad. So I try to savor them as long as I can. And then I usually give it a month and I go back and rewatch them. But I always have like another movie lined up to go afterwards. But right now in life, I'm sort of like out of movies to watch. Like, I have a few, like An Irishman, but I want more big epic action adventure films. I want more movies like Gladiator or Master and Commander. I wish Tarantino could make a new movie every week so I had something to look forward to. So, like with The Last of Us ending tomorrow, like, gosh, what now? What? I guess we can watch Mandalorian until the next big thing comes out. But yeah, I just try to fill the void with something else. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap up the live show there. We've been talking for like, over 2 hours. So, either way, guys, I just want to say, guys, thank you guys for watching, hanging out with me for a couple of hours, looking at my stupid face. And, I do appreciate it. And I want you guys to stay safe, have a good night, and, eat some frozen pizza and, go watch a movie. That's what I'm going to do. Take care, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.